I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all. It is the best hour of your week. Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces, episode number 17. Applause. Not only is it the best hour of your week, it's the most consistent hour of your week. So we need to add that. And as you know, every Wednesday at 12 o'clock, it is Mark Boatwright-Frost. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Marwan?
You know what? I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm here and accounted for, and I'm above ground. So, there you go.
Yep.
Got to pull on one of my, some days you get up or maybe you get some bad news and you got to go to your self-affirming, I've got these little sheets of paper that I keep in a bowl,
Yep.
kind of a little pick-me-up when you need it.
Yeah, so, pull one out and it says, get your stuff together.
No, it just reminds me of how blessed I am,
Yep.
So, I got two eyes, I got two ears, I got two nostrils, I got two of a lot of things,
Yeah. Toes on the ground, not pointed up. You're all good.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into it today. And man, we got so much to go into. How you doing there, BK? So glad that you can join us today.
Hey, BK.
Hopefully we're looking good, sounding good for everyone out there. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of switch over. We got a lot to try to pack in an hour. So we're going to go ahead and go right into it. And our first thing that we're going to talk about today, we're going to get into Cinco de Mayo. But, I should say before then, May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yeah, had to come. Sound of lightsaber going through the air.
I'm just saying. And, Obi-Wan is coming out here in a little bit. So Looking forward to that. But, tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. And so we wanted to spend a little time talking about that. So, Mark, jump in on.
So let's talk about the price of avocados.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, so have you gone to look for avocados? Cinco de Mayo is tomorrow. That's guacamole capital day of the world. So you go to the market and avocados right now are averaging between $3 and $5 a piece, depending on where you go to.
Wow.
In years past, just as Cinco de Mayo was coming up, the prices of avocados would drop. They would bring in, or they would order more, have a much larger supply, and you'd see avocados for 99 cents, $3 to $5. So guacamole is off the list for tomorrow. Hey, Rob. So I wanted to bring that up right away before we actually go into the second subject, because I want to talk about food security.
Sure.
And this is a great example of food security, is that the avocados we get either come from California or they come from Mexico predominantly. And right now, Mexico, getting fruit and vegetables out of Mexico is a problem, because Texas has decided that they needed an extra layer of customs beyond the federal customs. And we've had, I can't remember the number, but millions and millions of dollars of produce rotting at the border because they can't get through the customs program fast enough.
Wow.
So that's going to affect our food prices. It has already cost Texas $4 point some billion in lost revenue. Texans, I should say. And it's affecting the rest of the country because that's a major hub for produce to come through the country. Matter of fact, it has been so egregious that the Minister of Finance, I believe, out of Mexico, has decided to reroute a major train project that they've been working on through New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas is going to lose out. It's a train that goes from Mexico to Canada to ship through the NAFTA program. And so Texas is going to completely lose out of that. But the point of this is one little hiccup, like, somebody doing something politically, or a price change, or a port dispute, and food becomes a commodity that gets dumped at the border, dumped to be on the other side of the mountains, like it happened here in Washington, and is left to rot, which means the food prices that we pay are affected by this. And the point is, we have no control over the food prices we pay. The only way we can gain control is to provide food locally. So I wanted to kind of bring it home to people. if you're going to be making avocados or anything with avocados tomorrow for Cinco de Mayo, get ready to pay a pretty penny.
If I can add to that, watching what's going on globally, but even right here, looking at the water shortages that are already projected for California and other southwestern regions. They're already talking about maybe putting in policies where folks will only be able to water their grass once a week.
Yep.
Um, I was complaining about the rain. It's like, man, I don't remember all this rain in April. But then, seeing what's going on regionally and even here, in our state, we actually need the rain. So it's like, you know what? Actually, the rain is a blessing. Rain, rain, rain. Just come on and rain. Um, I mean that's going to cause some huge issues for us. I kind of pulled up a chart here. Ukraine actually produces quite a bit. I'm looking here. The chart shows that in 2019, around one quarter of the global wheat exports came from Ukraine and Russia. So don't know how that's gonna continue.
Play out. Yeah.
And maybe not just this year, but subsequent years, right? I mean, this is going to be unrest for some time to come, right? And there's already food shortages and famine and starvation globally already. So this is just going to add to that.
And we tend to think of other countries when we think of that happening. We think about places that are like Africa, South America, things like that. But it's going to be hitting us. I put, for those of you who aren't following the Ketchup Resiliency Project page, I highly on Facebook, I highly recommend that you do. I just posted a tutorial on aquifers and how they work, and what we're thinking about, because we talk frequently about aquifers. And California has been draining their Central Valley aquifer for decades and decades for agriculture. And now towns around the outside have no water from their wells. And so when we talk about California going into another drought, if surface water goes away, their produce is going to start failing, and that's 30% of the produce for the United States. What's that going to do to prices?
Yeah, and just kind of, this is from insideclimatenews.org. I mean, definitely vet your sources, but this is just one that I just kind of quickly pulled up. And this is from May 2021. As California's drought worsens last year, the Biden administration cuts water supplies and farmers struggle to compensate. We're already having these issues, right? This is a huge concern, and the things that happen in other states do impact us. And so I know it's very political now. You got California against Texas, red against blue, and all this, but we're all in this together.
So we all need water, we all need food, or we don't survive. End of story. And we've been talking about that for months, and we're running out of time on this. But I do want to say, in the climate change arena, there are two posts I put up yesterday on the Ketchup Resiliency page. One is about the aquifers. The other one is about record heat in South Asia, where they're experiencing 120 degrees.
Whoa, really? 120?
Yeah. And scientists are saying expect more of it globally.
Yeah, that's a huge concern.
And absolutely.
If we have some time at the end, we might circle back and just kind of pull up some of those articles. I'd love to kind of show people where you are.
Yeah, and I just want to switch the subject now, because I want to talk about and right up with BK's note about gardens. I want to talk about the review of your block party last week.
All right, get a horn for the block party. So, of course, as you all know, have been watching this show. Last Thursday, we had our first neighborhood ambassador block party barbecue. And so the whole G2 Conduit Roseco team came out. Oh, I love it. And, we put on a barbecue, and it was great. Surprisingly, I don't know a lot of my neighbors. I know the people right to the left of me, and I'm a good neighbor. So, they use my internet. And I didn't know the people that I actually share a wall with, which is kind of shameful on my part. I knew the neighbors across the street. I know the neighbors at the very end of the block. And that was pretty much it. So I got to meet I'd say probably about 70% of the neighbors in my neighborhood. And I also happen to live, so I'm on a dead end street, and I live right next to the college campus. And so we have our residence hall is behind me. So all the kids came out, and I thought they were just going to take a plate and run. They hung out with us for like what, 2 hours,
Yep.
you know?
Got
Uh,
some really in-depth conversations going too.
Yeah, absolutely. The mayor showed up, so it was just fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and I actually have some pictures, so I'll pull up some pictures for everyone to see. But this was our first endeavor at this, and I don't think it could have worked out any better. Would you agree with that, Sabrina? All right. I know you guys can't see her on the camera, but she's always with us getting this stuff done. Let me go to the beginning here. So as you can see, we've got this is the barbecue here. This is some of the images. This is me with the mayor. Here's Mark with one of my neighbors. I
Logan.
yeah, thank you. I'm horrible with names. That's Sabrina's son. Uh, we're posing. We're hamming it up for the camera. That's Cherry, one of our own. A lot of our college kids here.
Yep.
That's Kendra.
Including some German exchange students, which were pretty cool to talk to.
Yeah, yeah, pretty cool. BK, who's watching the chat, brought some flowers, just fantastic. And I think she might have also brought some fried chicken that did not last very long. That's cheating, BK. So just for future endeavors, you're supposed to cook something. You're not supposed to bring in the mic dropper. Yeah, that fried chicken on. Uh, that's Michael. That's the pastor's son there. And there's Sabrina. Of course, he never met a camera she didn't like. She said, "Stop it."
The camera likes her too.
So, and there's BK. And these are just our candid our pictures here. That's Marlon. Marlon was a board member for us and one of our cooks during our. So one of the things that we did, and I should mention this because of food insecurity and those things. What we were doing pre-COVID is we had in partnership with the tribe. We go out and they would allow us to buy these 3-foot salmons for $1, right? And what we would do is on Friday, Marlon there with the red hat, he would brine the salmon all day Friday. He would smoke the salmon all day Saturday. And we would serve folks that were experiencing homelessness or food insecurity a sit down dinner with real plates, real silverware, little jazz music, and not have a time limit. They could sit and dine and just eat with dignity. And I mean, there was the first time I ever had fried salmon. He was doing a triple citrus baked salmon and a smoked salmon, and so they were eating, like a $40 or $50 plate. You know, so it was fantastic. I hear you, BK. So yeah, that was our event, and so it was just really fantastic. Really a good just a really good exercise, an opportunity for me to practice what I preach. I'm when I met Mark and Mark invited me to be a part of Rose Echo, what he was talking about resonated with me, right? Creating community, building relationship, building that, bringing your puzzle piece. And so we have to do that in a microcosm. You do that with your immediate family, but then you do need to do it with your neighborhood, and even good or bad, right? You need to know who your good neighbors are, and unfortunately, who might not be the good neighbors. And your neighbors know that. They're like, yeah, those folks over there, we kind of keep our distance or whatever. But we have mechanics here in the area. We have there's someone who has the same F-250 that I do, so now I have someone that can help me when I have issues with it. I don't have to take it to the shop. We have folks that now are going to volunteer with G2, which is fantastic. We have folks that want to garden. The res hall manager is going to help us write a letter because there's a parcel behind us that we're going to try to grow from. And so just from 2 hours of hot dogs and hamburgers and fellowship, we've created all these relationships that we can take action on immediately. And so it's just a really profound, outcome for something so simple to do, and everybody was really happy. They were telling me, Mark, the day before and the day I was setting up, right? Because I started setting up at 2, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much for doing this." The food wasn't even there yet. We're just so excited. We're in a military town, and so folks have moved here that live on the other side of the block, and they're like, we just, it's kind of hard to connect with people, and we don't know the neighbors, and just thank you for this. We really need this. And coming on to the other side of COVID, really a big deal. So we're gonna do this once a month, every fourth Thursday. And so stay tuned. We'll be putting that out, and we can share information if you want to do it in your own neighborhood.
And feel free to reach out to us and become one of the champions. And yeah, we'll do it in your neighborhood. Bring it together. So yeah, I just to tie off on this before we jump into the next subject. I wanted to point out that I had conversations with pretty much all of your neighbors while we were doing that, and they are very much into the community garden piece of this, and excited to see where that goes.
So am I, because I was saying yesterday, it's like I have a brown thumb, literally and figuratively. So, I'm looking forward to it, but I really do want to grow, right? I mean, there's, you know, medicinal effects that you can get from some of these herbs and things like that. And then, just kind of building that one sustainability and then resiliency definitely resonates with me, and teaching
And
this.
reducing the cost for everybody in the neighborhood, because if you're growing produce for people, that reduces their need to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And you know what's in it, right? Because you know
Yep.
what you're using to grow it. So if you're concerned about, pesticides and all kinds of other weird things, I guess it doesn't really get any more organic than that, right? Depending on what you want to put in there.
Right. And we're going to use that to segue right into the beginning of the conversation about the go bag.
Yeah,
So if you want to put that link up for folks.
all right, give me a second here. Let me go ahead and kill this.
Bang.
Oh man, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a blast, I gotta say.
Okay. So as a part of a segue, Marwan's going to put up a link that is to a Amazon list that I put together with things that should be in a go bag and things to think about. It's not like go out and buy all of this stuff. It's a point of their ideas for what you do. They're kind of best of class, or what I think is at least good products. A lot of them I haven't used, so I can't tell you for certain. But what I want to talk about here is I don't have any food listed here. And that's why we're segueing from food, is because I experience food allergies. So most of what's in emergency rations and freeze-dried food I can't use. Knowing that, there are things that I go look for that I can put in there. And I'm trying to hold these up so you guys can see them. These are things I can eat. Lara bars don't have corn or wheat in them. And the Costco the Costco King's Kirkland nut bars are the same as Kind bars, probably made by the same company, and they're also very clean for me, and I can use both of those. But when it comes to freeze-dried foods, I can't buy much of any of the things people are selling as emergency rations. So for me, it's canning. It's keeping those bars handy, and or freeze-drying stuff myself, dehydrating stuff myself. And the go bag, to answer your question, BK, the go bag is for emergencies. It's something to keep in your car, so that if it breaks down at night and you have to you're not near home. If there's a disaster, it's the stuff you need in your hands, so that you can get through 1 to 3 days without any other input. If you're home, everybody says to try and shelter at home if a disaster happens. A go bag is something in case you have to leave your home. The basics that you need. So food is going to be one issue. I didn't put anything down here because everybody's selling stuff, and you just got to be really careful about what you look for and make sure that what you're buying you can eat.
Hey, Mark, can you speak
Yeah.
to so for me, right, it's like gardening. I have no idea how to can, or do any of those things. I'm gonna try to hold it up so that you can see.
Okay.
And stay tuned. So I am a city boy through and through.
You're getting the 5-gallon buckets of stuff.
Yes. And what we're gonna do. So this has 92 servings. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a kind of an unboxing. And so me, Sabrina, some other folks will sit.
Okay.
We're actually gonna open it up and eat them and tell you what tastes good and what's unpalatable, so that you can have some feedback on it. Because
It,
a lot of times people will get these, they throw them up because they last 10 years, they never eat them, and then it's like, oh my god, this is I wouldn't feed this to my dog. So we're gonna open
exactly.
it up and we're
When
gonna
when when I was doing camping back in Boy Scouts, freeze dried food had just started coming out, and we used to go to the store and get the freeze dried foods. And this is back when J.C. Penney's was the Boy Scout go to place. And I tell you, we found that out by unfortunate situation. We'd go 5 miles in and we'd be camping someplace. We open it up, we put hot water in it, and oh my God, this is the most hideous stuff on the planet. Never again. So yeah, food is always an issue. There are ways to get around it. We can do a whole segment sometime about ways to eat, and we'll be happy to do that, but it's a long conversation. Just be careful and don't just buy it because it's 5 years and somebody says it's great.
yeah.
They say, MREs. Have you ever eaten an MRE? Ugh,
I've had one.
yeah. Not something I want to live on if I have to.
Right.
Find something, and remember, for a go bag, it's got to be carryable. So
Mhm.
you want to have things that you can eat that are in the go bag that'll last you 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, and to that end, for me, I'm kind of looking at it in three ways. One, I need to have some kind of an emergency pack in my car. If you remember last year, well, it might have been earlier this year. Honestly, there was a snowstorm in Virginia, and
Yeah,
it
it was
caused
earlier this year.
yeah, it was like a 12-hour traffic jam. People
24.
died. Was it
Yeah,
24 hours?
it was 24 to 36 hours before people could move.
Yep, people died. Most people don't have a blanket in their car. They don't have, a case of water or food. And so if you're if you're on low on gas and you got to turn that car off, you need to have those things in your car, right?
Yep.
So I want to have a go bag in my car. I need to have a bug out bag in case we're at home and I've got to get out of here because it's not safe. And then I want to have something here also we have Cascadia Rising. We can have something else that happens here where you need to shelter in place. You can't get to a store, and now I can make it, at least a good week or so with food and water. So
Right.
those are kind of the three things that
And
I think when I'm thinking about preparedness.
and when you go look at the list, actually, if you scan down a little bit, Marwan,
Sure.
I think it's like the second item, maybe. I threw that in there, Gorilla Cart, because if you're carrying stuff and you need to get out of your house and you're carrying stuff, it's going to be more than you can physically carry comfortably. And so having a cart with big wheels in good quality, you can put stuff in there and head out. The item below that, I use a platypus hydration pack. I have that in my go bag, so I can fill it with 2 liters of water. But what people don't think about is you need to clean it.
Mm.
So having a cleaning kit is something you need to think about so that you can clean it. And this is a platypus uh, uh, hydration pack, basically 2 liters of water you put on your back. You have a straw that you attach to your collar so you can drink while you move.
Right. Yeah, that's super smart. Last year for Christmas, Mark, I got everyone in G2 life straws.
Right.
To just try to encourage.
And so at the very last item on here is a Sawyer water filtration. It's what the U.S. military uses. It goes. You can run 100,000 gallons through it and filter the water, and you can back flush it if it starts getting nasty. So
Is
it's
this the
it is
Unity hydration pack? Is what you're
no,
talking?
it's the very last item on the list.
Oh, okay. Let me skip all to the bottom.
Yep,
Since
back
he's
up.
skipping to the
That one right
bottom,
there, the
this,
blue and green. Those are the Sawyer mini water products. They're a filtration kit that you should have in your go bag. I have one in my go bag. Marwan and I were going to go shopping for a go bag and show everybody, but right now these are almost impossible to find because of the supply shortages. You can still get them on Amazon, and I think that they're available, but local stores don't have them here right now. So the one right above it, the packs, the purification packs. I
uh,
saw a YouTube video done by a gentleman named Mark Roper, who's a NASA engineer, and
okay.
he thought this was the most ridiculous idea in the world, and then he tried it out and experimented with it. It's a powder pack provided by Procter and Gamble, and he had kids go to the nastiest, swampiest place near his house and gather water and bring it back. And it was like a small Coke bottle filled with sludge at the bottom and filthy water at the top. And he poured some of this in it, and it separated out the clean water for the sludge and forced all the stuff to the bottom. So you could literally put a straw in it and drink fresh water out of it.
Nice.
It's the most amazing stuff ever. I recommend having a few of those in your pack. If you can't get, if you don't, if you need to separate water out and get water for cooking. Also, remember, freeze-dried food, you need water. So missing one and without the other is just a bad idea. You need to have both. You need to have water and food. You can't live 3 days without water. Okay, so that's the go bag. I want to, while we got a couple more minutes here, I want to talk a little bit about philosophy. A local gentleman named Mike Monfort, who teaches a class on what to put in a go bag. He tells you something that nobody else does. Have non-cotton clothes or blended clothes, because if it rains and you're wearing cotton, you're going to get cold and you're going to get hypothermia.
Non-cotton. Okay.
Non-cotton. So you need something that will actually shed water or not hold water next to your skin. Because cotton will absorb the water and hold it for a long time. And if you can't get to a place where you can dry it, you're gonna get very, very, very cold, and that's a very dangerous situation. So always have something that's
preferred material.
Huh?
Is there a preferred material?
He didn't say when. He always stays very clearly away from that. But a lot of the polyester, baby. A lot of the hiking clothes that you'll see, and a lot of the work clothes from Cathart are blended materials, so they don't tend to absorb water quite as much. And that would be a good way to go. My jacket is, I have fleece for a jacket, and I also have a water shedding jacket that I keep in the car. So that I can.
It says Gore-Tex. So would that also be like workout gear, like the anti-wicking technology that you hear about?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are things to do. Now, I'm going to talk about a somewhat unfavorable idea or philosophy here. I am not big on weapons being carried for two reasons. One, philosophically, I took martial arts for years, and the teacher taught us that the problem with weapons is your mind is on the weapon and not on the situation you're in. And if something happens to the weapon, your mind goes with the weapon, and you're not in awareness of what's going on at the moment. Also, people think that having guns is an important thing in a go bag or to be safe. But let me just put it this way. If you haven't fired 1,000 rounds to that gun in a variety of situations, you shouldn't have it, because it's more dangerous to you than it is of benefit. So focus on your survival, not on the weapons here. It's not Mad Max. And well, you're not Mad Max, and this isn't Thunderdome. We aren't worried about, the Master Blaster and all of that stuff. Focus on the stuff you need to live and think about that and be aware of the situation you're in instead of trying to be, the survivor.
Well, I don't know about 1,000 rounds because ammo is expensive. So,
just saying,
a couple rounds through, but not. I don't think I have 1,000.
If you don't know how to hunt and use a gun for hunting, you probably don't need to have it.
All right. Well, that's the good thing about different philosophies.
Yep.
There's a saying that says, "Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Better to be with than without." But yes, gun safety. There's actually some things that we might try to get into here through G2, where we're teaching some gun safety stuff.
Always a good thing. I'm a big proponent of gun safety, and I'm a big proponent of getting educated about the firearms you carry. Now, don't misunderstand me. I am not anti-gun. I've owned guns all my life. But I also have seen a lot of people that should not have owned them, and a lot of people that go to the gun ranges that don't know what they're doing. And remember this one very important piece. This is a go bag. Guns are heavy.
Well, that's true. But what if you're like Jeff Speakman, like me, and you're the naked weapon?
Well, then you're good, aren't you?
Hey, that's you got to be old to understand that reference.
Yep. Um, and I've never found a situation that I've been in that I needed to have one. So it's more about being aware of the moment. Yeah, and actually, you'll notice that I have a BK says flare guns are effective. True, but I have a pulsing light on here, actually just below where you're at now, that is recommended to hook to your backpack so that someone can find you. And it's a strobing light that travels for some distance. They're very handy to have if you need to be rescued or you need to find other people to get along with. Remember, if there's a disaster, it's not about standing on your own. It's about standing with your neighbors, and that's kind of what last week was all about. And we're at 12:30, which means we need to switch subjects.
Well, but before we do, let me just add one more thing in there. Did you want me to put the link to this Amazon
Yeah,
cart in the?
yeah.
So I'll put the link here in the.
It's public list, so people can go look at it.
Whoops, let me get rid of that. I'm gonna put that in the chat for anyone that wants to take a look at it. But while we were talking about flashlights, this is one of the lights that I have in my home, and what's nice about that is this is multi-effective, right? So one, it's got I believe it's lumens, so it's super bright, which is it can be very blinding, which allows you to escape. But then also, if you do need to use it to strike, it's got these beveled pieces here at the top, and so it's nice and sturdy, and it lasts a long time too. So not bad, and it's got the thing so you can add it onto your backpack if you needed to. But they sell a bunch of these, but this is one of my favorite ones. I've got some bigger ones. Turn it on. Well, I might blind people.
Ooh, I have a light here that I don't have batteries in. Oops.
Oh, well, and that's a good one, right? You got to check your batteries. What, every
Yep.
6 months you need to check your batteries?
Yeah, I check mine fairly regularly. The ones in my car are all loaded up and tested, checked every 3 months or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it a mag? This one isn't a mag.
That's a tack, right?
Yeah, this one's a cobalt.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Found at your local Lowe's store.
You got
Pitch
that
to
right.
Lowe's. Now we need to get them to sponsor us.
All right, why don't we go ahead and then switch on to our next topic there?
Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with the Kitsap Resiliency Project page on Facebook, and BK is a member of both that and Resiliency Rocks, which is the group that we use to build all of this. I post articles periodically, and I must apologize to people who've been following it. I haven't posted any in a while because it's been very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I did post one yesterday talking about the two puzzles. And I want to talk about that a little bit because you hear us talk about, the show is tipping points and puzzle pieces. So I want to talk a little bit about the puzzles. I suddenly had an epiphany last week about two puzzles. We have a puzzle in place, and it is the puzzle of our history to this point. And we spend a lot of time trying to keep the puzzle pieces together and patch the puzzle and fix the puzzle, but it's essentially a broken puzzle. It's not good for all of us. It's good for a few of us, but when it fails, we all fail together. Doesn't matter how rich you are. So now we have to talk about the second puzzle. The second puzzle is the puzzle that hasn't been built yet. It's the puzzle of our future. Now we can continue to try and patch the one that's broken and will at some point fail us completely, or we can start putting together a new puzzle. And what we want to talk about is the fact that we can't put the new puzzle together until people come together because they bring the pieces that will make that puzzle work. And the reason this is because the old puzzle, there's an old saying, the decisions are made by those who show up. And the old puzzle was put together by a few people that showed up that had a very specific goal. It was to get as much revenue as possible for themselves. Mm-hmm. And the system works brilliantly to do that, as we've all been hearing constantly and constantly and constantly. So if we write pattern. We write a book for the future. We write a puzzle for the future, or build it. We have to bring people's needs together. We need to see who people are. We need to understand what their viewpoints are and what their needs are, so that we can build a puzzle that represents all of us, not just a few of us. That means you have to show up. You have to bring your piece of the puzzle to the table. And you may not even know you have a piece, but you do. We've all struggled. We all have experience. We've all experienced this life and the previous puzzle. So you need to show up and talk about what your experiences in life are. And we will hear you. That's our job, is to hear you. That's what the framework, that's what the edges of the puzzle are. Being able to hear you and bring these into the overall picture, but we can't know what the picture is going to be until you show up. Thoughts on that, Marwan?
No, you're absolutely right on that. And to encourage that, that was the whole reason for the neighborhood ambassador program, right? And
Yep.
he's saying, hey, I gotta walk the talk, right? So it's like, yeah, I can talk it all day long, but am I actually going to bring my puzzle piece to bear? And that was my puzzle piece, right? I was able to provide food because it's what we do in our organization. I can be extroverted and pull people in and gather folks in, and so that was my piece. And from that, more pieces came together. Now we have our own little puzzle here on our street, which is fantastic.
And that's kind of what I talk about, is that you end up with neighborhood puzzles that actually somehow manage to fit into the bigger community puzzles, which can fit into the larger regional puzzles, and then you have change. So I've been thinking about the puzzle pieces and what's going on. I was invited to join a group on Facebook about affordable housing, which is a subject that Marwan and I talk about a lot. We are in the process of forming a panel of people to whiteboard ideas and look for crazy solutions to a problem that doesn't seem to have solutions. And today I saw several posts by a gentleman who runs the board talking about a proposed ordinance change in the Bremerton City Council, which is going to be talked about tonight. And it's going to affect the area over by the YMCA in Bremerton and all around there, where there's already a ton of development going on, where they're changing the rules of development to make development more easy for people to do. And their fear, with the gentleman who's posting this piece, is that it's going to eliminate some affordable housing that's already there and prevent other affordable housing from happening. And affordable housing is a big issue in this area, where the average one-bedroom apartment is $1,600 a month in Bremerton, and where Stephanie was talking about some new apartments going in downtown that are $2,000 a month starting point. And that means that you've got to be making a lot of money, $25 an hour, I think, to afford to live. And that's going to start doing what has happened already in Seattle, what's happened in San Francisco, what's happened in in the Bay Area, and all through the Bay Area, is that people aren't going to be able to afford to live where they work. And I've known people that commute 2 hours each way to get to work, and that's just not right. So we need to sit down and get smart people together and start talking about how we can make a difference there. And that the G2 and Resilient Ecosystems and the Kitsap Resiliency Project are working to put together a panel to start coming up with ideas for that. But it might be worth going to finding out where and unfortunately I don't have a link to the meeting, but the City Council is going to be doing a Zoom meeting tonight about that. It might be worth going and listening to what they have to say.
Is that this evening?
That's this evening.
All right, I'll try to look that up. While we're talking about that subject, sometimes we kind of throw around numbers and figures. This is Zillow as of today, and as you can see, we're talking about $1,050 a month, one bed, one bath, 500 square feet.
Yep.
That's
a low price.
Look, 1,500, one bed, one bath, 600 square feet. We're in Kitsap County, right? This isn't Seattle. We're an hour outside of Seattle. For those of you looking for a frame of reference, Seattle is over here. We're a 1 hour ferry ride, car ferry, or 30-minute foot ferry from Seattle. So this is considered affordable housing right now. And so you can see what we're looking at here. 2 bed, 1 bath, 720 square foot apartment, $1,600, right? This is our, and it just kind of goes up from there.
Yeah.
And again, if we're looking at, let's say 20, right? So maybe you get 20 folks in here. We're already hitting $1,850 to $2,000. Look, this is only 900 square feet, 2 bed, 2 bath. And so there's not enough housing, period, but it damn sure ain't affordable.
Right. And there's this myth that started back in Kerry Bozeman's day that we're going to attract the rich people from Seattle over here, and it's going to boon our economy. There's two fallacies in that thinking. One is that and actually the gentleman doing the presentation for tonight's meeting, I saw a YouTube about it, and he said, we want to ride the housing market boom. Well, those booms don't last. And okay, I'm going to get political here for just a second. It says the Puget Sound Regional Council's recommendations, and this, let's understand that organizations like the Puget Sound Regional Council exist to give top cover to cities to do things that they want to do anyhow. They aren't looking at it, they do not look at a macro environment and the risk of going all in on a market, variable market. And they don't look at the trends that have happened over the last 20 years and the fact that this market cannot continue to rise because there isn't enough customer base. If people, okay, so Amazon just bragged about creating 170,000 jobs in California, most of them in the $15 to $20 an hour range, which means the people working there can't afford to live where they work. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is happening here. If people are paying if they're being $15 to $20 an hour, they can't afford these places. So that means a lot of people living together.
And unfortunately, Mark, I was just reading, I can't remember what state or city that is. I'll try to find it in the next 15 minutes. There are some folks that are trying to pass a law that makes it illegal for you to do the roommate thing, which I don't even understand the logic behind that.
There is no logic. There's just political maneuvering. And that's the sadness of it, is to do these things with this imagination. So part of the Puget Sound Regional Council's claim is that by 2050, we're going to have 1,100,000 more people in the Puget Sound region.
Wow.
That's one city of Seattle added to the Puget Sound region, and that Bremerton's going to end up with 33,000 more people. Now, Bremerton's only got 37,000 people now. That means it will double in population, and they're banking on development to do that. So let's talk about the real reason behind development. Is it's the only reasonable income stream, reliable income stream that cities and counties have to do what they already do. And when you're looking at this, they're talking about 33,000 more people. That's a whole lot more infrastructure. Have you seen the infrastructure being upgraded? It's because they can't afford to do it. And so they're looking at development to pay them to do it, but that's a never-ending cycle. So part of getting neighborhoods together and bringing your piece of the puzzle is you end up creating a grassroots network. And when grassroots network gets large enough, we can call BS on this and say, listen, we want a place to live. We're saying if you want to stay in office, you're going to do these things. You're going to make sure that we have water. You're going to make sure that we have roadways. You make sure that we have safe environments, and that we don't have an OSO situation here where we're building houses on landslide material, or building storage units on wetlands that should never have been built on to start with, all of which has happened. It's up to us because they're not going to change it on their own.
Woo, man, that's hard to look at.
It make you a little cringy.
Yeah. And
So
it just perpetuates itself, right? So
it does.
this is what the market demands, and so that raises, and then we're in the military town, so then they raise the housing allotment. So you know what I mean. So then the neighbor raises it up some more, and then I think Bremerton Housing Authority was on, and they were saying that depending on how things go, they can't arbitrarily keep it down. So there's no way to kind of push it down. It just continues to go up. So yeah, it's a huge issue. Um, and we've got to do something. I'm a big proponent if we're being political. We can care
Yeah.
about other folks in other parts of the world, but my father taught me charity starts at home,
Yes,
and so
it
we've
does.
got to take care of our own
You're
first.
you're on an airplane. You're traveling someplace. The stewardess stands up in front and says, "Put your air mask on first before you help somebody else."
Mhm.
We can't help anybody else if we're struggling.
Facts.
And by working with your neighbors, developing neighborhood groups, we build a network of people already working together. It's a beautiful thing. It's a human thing. And we need to create a human centric future. We aren't going to be here. That's just straightforward. I mean, people are now going, oh my God, he's doomsaying this, that, and the other. But science pretty much is laying it out, and the future's not pretty.
Mhm.
And, people say, well, the earth is going to be fine. The earth is going to, be fine. I say, yeah, the earth will be fine. We just won't be here. And that's not okay for me.
Yeah. Whew, man.
So, yeah. So we're ending this program with laying it on thick. But people, all we have to do is come together. We just have to learn to talk to each other and, more importantly, listen to each other. We can do great things together. We can start with community gardens and reducing the cost of feeding ourselves and our community. And by the way, it's more nutritious to do it that way because our agricultural practices, which are eroding our soil at a tremendous rate, also reduce the amount of nutrition we have. There's several studies that say that between 1950 and now, we've lost 50 to 70% of the nutritional value of fruit or food. So you get an apple, it's not anywhere near the nutritional value, flavor, or worth of an apple from the 1950s.
Really?
Yeah. So grow your own food. Keep the soil healthy. Grow more responsibly. Because otherwise, we're going to continue to get fat, like me, because the food has no nutritional value and we eat more to get the same, to fill the need of nutrition.
Hmm.
So, and that's my opinion. That's not a medical opinion. I can't quote a doctor on that. But just be aware we can do better, but we have to do it together. None of us can do it on our own.
You're absolutely right. So what are the first steps? Because I mean, this was pretty bleak here at the end.
Okay, so the first step is become a champion.
Okay.
And let Marwan and I know that you want to do your neighborhood barbecue, and we'll get together with you on the fourth Thursday, and we'll go help you meet your neighbors. We'll talk to the neighbors about what they're interested in, and maybe we can have as big a hit as we did at Marwan's, where the neighbors are all going, "Oh, community gardens, great! Hey, by the way, there's 3 plots here that are owned by a developer that aren't used, and let's talk to the developer and see if we can find a way to make a deal with him to grow on him until he's ready to develop." So, there are things to think about and ways to do things, but until you start talking to each other, you won't know what that is. Everybody brings a piece to the puzzle. They don't even know they have it. You don't know they have it. But by getting together, you'll figure it out.
So yeah, we do need to. We're still trying to figure out what our next location is going to be and date, but we will have that announcement very soon.
Yep.
But again, if you're not in this region, we do stand ready to help you with that. So
Yep.
you know, and it's a great time to get started. As I said before, people are just like so excited.
Yep.
to get this thing going. And so you don't have to wait. You can start now. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. And you don't have to absorb all the costs. It's you can go to or we could have used the food banks and some other things. There's lots of things we could do
Yeah,
to
we're
make it a
exploring
lot.
a lot of options, and
Yeah,
Marwan and I are exploring options to be able to make this continue to go and be more sustainable. And just so Marwan isn't the only one stepping up, I'm working with my community here to have one in June. So May is open, folks. Let's see if we can get it together and get somebody to do it in May. And we will come out and set up the grills and barbecue for you and help you connect with your neighbors.
yeah, absolutely. So while you've been talking, I was trying to quickly get this kind of graphic so folks can see. Let me pop this on the
Okay.
screen here. We still have a few minutes. I thought this would be kind of a helpful illustration here. Because again, so often you listen to numbers,
Yep.
but what he was saying was like, look here, if you're making $20 per hour, you're working 40 hours a week. Let's say you don't take any vacation, you don't miss any days off, you're going to gross $41,600 a year, right?
Mhm.
That's that number, 20 times 40 times 52. That's what it comes out to. That's your gross. Typically, you can figure about 20% of your income is going to go to your taxes and other things, right? So this is zero point 0.8 multiplied by that 41,600. That means your net is going to be 33,280. We looked at Zillow here and we just took the conservative $1,500 a month times 12 months, that's 18,000. The difference from that leaves you with $15,280. That's for all of your other bills, food, whatever you can think of, right? So, hey, how you doing, Joanna? So that's everything else. And so a lot of times folks are like, well, just get a job and work and it should be enough or maybe you can't afford cable or some of these other things. Yeah, you're
Healthcare.
not having cable there. I mean, we've got we can let's go ahead and kind of make a list. We've got utilities, right?
Yeah, I can actually, and I'll find the link by next week. But Princeton University put out a study that said you have to make about $48,000 a year to break even, and that was before the rent started going up.
And that depends on where you're living,
Yeah,
right? But what other bills are here? We just want to throw a few of them up there.
car
Utilities,
insurance,
mortgage.
automobile insurance,
Okay, so
or
car,
transportation. Yeah,
insurance, if you have a car, right?
yeah, and well, and medical insurance. So
Okay, what else?
um, food.
Okay, food, all right. Food, what else? Toiletries.
Yep,
Okay, I'm gonna spell that there. With that cleaning supplies.
yep,
Oh, we're not even considering children, right? We're just talking about adult folks here.
yep.
And your utilities can be your electricity, maybe your
Clothing.
gas, yeah, clothing. We could put asterisks by some things because everyone doesn't have student loans. You know what I'm saying? Kids.
Yeah.
These are
And I
all
and I will tell you, unashamedly, that I buy most of my clothes at Goodwill.
mm, mhm. What do you know what you spend on food every year
Food,
or every month?
oof, probably about $400, $450 a month.
All right, so we'll go with the under.
Yeah.
400 times 12 is 4,800 in food, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Any other things that you can give me?
Utilities for us are about 140 a month
140,
for
so
utilities.
about 1,600.
Yeah, and I'm just doing the personal, not the stuff for the organization. Garbage is covered by our complex. My cell phone is $40 a month.
40. So that
Yep.
is 40 times 12, 480.
My car insurance is about 65 a month.
We'll go under 720.
Okay.
Okay.
My car's paid for, so that's not something that I need to spend on. Gas, which would go under the transportation, I would guess. I spend about $100 a month on gas, so $1,200.
Okay.
Cleaning supplies, figure about $25 a month.
I pay probably, my trash, I think it's like 70. I think.
Yeah, but if trash is 70, that's probably for 3 months.
I think I pay mine every other month.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. We're
So figure 30 a month.
Yeah. I'll put that in there. What'd you say now about the toiletries?
Cleaning supplies are about 30 a month.
30?
Toiletries probably about the same.
So 360. That's your toilet paper, your
Right.
Man, we're male, so we
Clothing,
have the same, feminine products and things like that we have to be concerned with.
student loans are done, thank you. Clothing probably about $25 a month.
Want me to type my student loans in there?
Yeah, sure. That's your annual?
No, that's about what I owe still.
Oh.
Let me go ahead and delete that. I can't look at that. Oh, what'd you say for clothing now?
I $25 to $50 a month.
All right, we'll go with 50 times 12, 600 a year. That seems really low, but okay.
I don't have your wardrobe. Now, when I was working in Silicon Valley, that number would be really low.
Yeah. All right, so we're at and this isn't, hey, you're not celebrating birthdays, you're not doing anything, right?
Right.
And that's kind of
There's nothing in there called entertainment.
No, there isn't. There is no entertainment. This is strictly survival for the
And
most
there's no in medical. There's no health insurance. The average health insurance for a single person is somewhere between $400 and $700 a month.
400, 4 to 7.
400 to 700 a month. So call it 5 just to be conservative, and that's 6,000.
Just want to make sure that auto sum thought that number stayed the same. But as you can see, right, the bottom number is already higher than the top number.
Yep.
And this is what folks are dealing with, and they're working 40 hours a week. They're not sick. They're not taking a day off. They're not taking a vacation, and they're making $20 an hour.
Right.
And so our fast food restaurants, several of them are paying $15 an hour right now. So yeah, sure, you can tell them to get a second job, so they can work 60 hours to try to build that in a little bit. But then
and a lot of people have car payments of $160 some odd dollars a month.
But even if they don't, right?
Yeah.
You're on public transportation because folks, especially our politicians are pretty hardcore and, you'll see them like, I'm gonna live off of SNAP benefits, off EBT, and I can show you that I can make it, or I'm gonna do this and that. And it's like,
and then they find out they can't.
Yeah, facts, absolute facts. But we don't show these stats, right? We don't show what it actually is. There's no money for savings. There's no rainy day fund. There's no, if you do have a car and it's paid off, there's no repair. There's no maintenance, right? I mean, this is the plight, and it's getting worse, right? And then you tell folks, hey, well, why don't you get a better job? Why don't you go back to school? Well, I'm already working 40. Maybe I'm working 60. When am I supposed to go to school? Right?
I worked in Silicon Valley, and I will tell you that I made a lot of money. Okay. But I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, and I didn't see my child or my wife very often.
Well, there's that too. Excellent point.
Yeah. And they did not pay me overtime for that. That was part of the salary. And the salary got a lot smaller when you started adding in the hours that you worked.
Right. Right. Yeah, salary isn't always what it's cracked up to be.
No, it's not. Anyway, we're at 1 o'clock, and I think we've covered a whole bunch of subjects.
Oh yeah.
And
Awesome.
Joanna, I'm sorry I didn't say hi. Hello, Joanna. Good to see you.
Awesome as always. Tell you, man, that hour goes so fast, but always really enjoyable. We will definitely be back next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Tipping points
Yep.
and puzzle pieces. Mark, Boatwright-Frost, Marwan, Cameron, Roseco, Resilient Ecosystems, The Conduit. We'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great week. Stay upbeat. Bring your puzzle piece. You know, bring the box to the puzzle. Put the borders.
Become an ambassador.
There you go. I love it.